Alright, good morning gamers and gentlemen. Today we're gonna give you the best and worst abilities to use in the final season 3 from my experience as a, ranked grinder previously, obviously, nobody cares now, and a World Tour solo queue champion, if you may, in World Tour, and then a quick cash enjoy. I played all the classes, used all the weapons, all the abilities, and today I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts on which ones you should use in the new season and which ones you shouldn't. The tier list goes from S to F. For some reason I forgot to add a F row at the very bottom. Give me a second to fix that. So we're gonna start out with light, then medium, and then heavy. Enjoy the background footage as we go through everything. We have the chat on the screen, I believe. If anybody does disagree, feel free to let me know in the chat or in the comments. That's over there, and we can see. Tier maker is an F tier, list maker SMH, true. But let's start with light, and we're just gonna hop on over and explain all the placements, and we'll take it from there. I am not approaching this from terminal attack, though I will keep it in mind. I'm approaching this from, it's the game's main mode, which is cash out. Actually, we're gonna start with, I believe we're gonna start with the specializations, because they're like in their own separate tier, and then we're gonna do the actual gadgets. Because there's no point, like, why am I ranking grappling hook versus stun gun? They're not relevant, right? So if we start with light specializations, there's the evasive dash, cloaking device, and the grappling hook. I'm gonna say that cloaking device is probably still, I'd say S tier, evasive dash A tier, and then grappling hook probably B or A tier. That one is a bit questionable, but I'd say somewhere along this line where cloaking device is the best choice you can have. It's just the most versatile, and I know it's not as strong as it used to be. It still feels pretty good. At the very highest level, you can still kind of like rotate a little bit with it. It's still pretty solid. The evasive dash looks the best, and you can have some fun with it, but overall it is more of a casual stomping, just chill around sort of specialization. Still solid. It's definitely what you would run with like a sword or a dagger instead of a cloaking device, but in most meta loadouts, you would want the evasive dash, the cloaking device instead of the evasive dash. As for grappling hook, this thing can let you reposition yourself, which is great if you want to play a long range weapon, if you want to play the LH1, if you want to play the sniper. You can easily get really far from your enemies, you can easily get up on high grounds or cross big gaps, which is very valuable. However, in most cases, I don't believe that light does use that playstyle. Because of that, I will only put it in A and nowhere higher than that. That's a specialization, so let's get those out of here. And we are gonna move on with the gadgets for light. So easy start here. Starting off with the S tier, starting up real strong in my opinion. Gateway, S tier. This thing is absolutely insane. The amount of outplays you can do. You can use it as a tracer recall, you can steal the vault, you can put it above the cash box to jump in last minute and stop people. It's just extremely versatile. You can do a million things with it. You can rotate with your team, you can save your teammates. The list just goes on. If I would make a video showcasing all the different ways you can use a gateway, it would be too long of a video for YouTube. This would be like an hour long, I feel like. So gateway, definitely S tier. Some people might disagree, but that's where I would put it. Vanishing bomb, also very good. Obviously, if you're playing cloak, you don't want it, but it's still very good. Almost a must. It is a must-have if you're grapple or dash, in my opinion. So I'm gonna put that one in S tier as well, because you can just instantly go invisible. You can get like close to your enemies or reposition or throw them off a little bit. Basically a must pick this season as well. Moving on, we have the thermal bore. Personally, thermal bore is not one of my favorite picks. I don't think it's super good. I would probably put the thermal bore, like when the season started, I had a lot of thoughts and ways it could be used. You could maybe match it with sniping, whatever, you can blow people out of cover. But overall, it doesn't really have that much actual use. Like, yes, you have some destruction as a light finally, you can blow down suspended structures or make holes and have the cash out fall down, but overall I don't feel like it's that useful when compared to its counterparts. Most of the times you don't need destruction as a light. The only class I think benefits from a thermal bore is if you play light as a sniper or maybe with LH1, but I don't think that's enough on its own to make it like valuable or rank it high. I would probably place the thermal bore in like D tier. It's not F, but it's certainly not that good. Thermal vision, gimmicky, unreliable, it seems to have a maximum range, really weird through smokes, and it's just really like finicky to use. I'm gonna put it in the F tier. Stun gun was buffed this season. Are we gonna say it's S tier? I kind of want to say that the stun gun is S tier, honestly. Now it finally, yes, they can use their gadgets and gadget you back You can get RPG'd by heavies and whatnot, but at the very least, heavy, you can no longer use your specialization. Heavies can't shield or charge into you or winch you. So you can actually use the stun gun, you can install cash outs with it, and you can get free kills. If it's not S tier, it's A tier. But I feel like in almost every loadout I've ran, that is like cloak meta loadout, I always run stun gun, so I'm gonna put it in the S tier. Thermal bore, yeah, it's definitely good for snipers, but most of the time you don't play sniper. I think it's not a good all-arounder, probably. Moving on, everyone's running thermal vision in ranked TA to kind of lights, including top 20 players. Yeah, but like, it's ranked TA, it's not a relevant game mode. Moving on, we have breach charge. We'll take it in consideration, but I don't give a shit. Breach charge is basically like the thermal bore, but closer range. It has 2 charges now, so you can actually, it's actually slightly more useful than it was in the previous season. That being said, thermal bore and breach charge, I haven't compared them, but I'm pretty sure they have the same, like, time. It's the same time to prime a breach charge as you have with blowing up a wall with a thermal bore. So it's just about, okay, they want to do this on a target close or far away, or they want to have it like preemptively set up. I'd say the breach charge is probably also D tier. I could bump it up to C tier because I think personally it is slightly more useful than a thermal bore because of some of the plays you can set up with it and its versatility. But I feel like we're probably gonna have to put them in D tier overall. Tracking darts. This one is gonna be hard if I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't feel like it's that good. Definitely not worthless, but definitely not that good. I don't know if it shows health of who you tracked, but like comparing to sonar, which we'll get to in a little bit, I don't feel like it's super useful. Most of the times, in like 90% of cases, instead of using a tracking dart, you could have shot the enemy and gotten a kill instead of just getting information for yourself or your team. Yeah, I would definitely put it in D or F tier. This is not a high rated ability whatsoever. I'm gonna put it in F tier. I've never ran this thing. I've never ran it. I've never seen anyone run it. It is not good. A lot of stuff at the top and the bottom of the tier list, nothing in the middle. We'll get to that. We'll work on it. Sonar grenade, definitely better. It was recently nerfed down to 12 meters range. It received a stealth buff this season where anyone scanned by sonar grenade that is in LOS of, I believe, the sonar and his teammates will see an outline around the person, which makes them easier to shoot at, plus their health bar, which just makes it a lot easier to actually use it. However, I don't feel, again, it's probably mostly good in TA because you don't take chip damage. Not as useful in cash out, but though it has its moments. Very oppressive, not necessarily very good. I'll put it in the B tier. That's where I'm feeling. Tracking dart when LH1 was 49 damage was good. It made L and M1 bullets less to kill. That's a good point. Counterpoint. I just shoot them instead of shooting it and swapping because you still gotta shoot an additional bullet. Moving on, we have the grenades. There's a bunch of different grenades for light. Some are unique and some are game-wide, but we're gonna rank all of these per game or per class, so we're gonna work on it. Okay, pyro grenade is difficult to me because I've always ranked it really high and then everyone ranked it really low, and then I kind of drank the Kool-Aid and ranked it low as well. It is probably really good. It is like nobody runs smoke, nobody ever counters pyro. It is actually good at distancing enemies. You can hold people off the cash out, and it counters gas. Like it's a good counter meta. I'll probably have to put it in the A tier actually. Slightly higher than sonar. I'm probably, like, keep in mind, I'm probably gonna be running these free every single game because you can only have free gadgets, but a pyro grenade is like valid to me. I can definitely run it. Goo grenade, not the biggest fan personally. It has some uses if you're using, especially if you're using a sword or dagger, you wanna lock somebody in a spot, then absolutely you can run the goo grenade. But overall, I would argue that it's not really that useful for light. It did get buffed. It now has more, it's now wider this season, but overall it doesn't really fit your playstyle. You can do some outplays, but it's not worth it. You're better off using something else. I'm gonna put the goo grenade in, I'll put it in D tier. Like, I'm noticing a trend here that thermal board recharging goo grenade are in D tier. That's like almost like they're useful, but it don't really fit necessarily in how you want to play light mostly. Smoke grenade, good in theory. I know it was buffed. You can have free now. It's the smoke is thicker, but overall, I just feel like smokes don't really seem to have that much use in the way the finals is played outside of TA. Maybe I don't really feel like smoke really fits in. So I'm gonna have to put smoke. Like, oh yeah, one valid thing of goo is like stopping a cash out, but you can use any ability for that, or a lot of abilities for that already. Smoke grenade. The ranking seems to be biased towards simulations with not a lot of consideration for overall objective, which is fair for Ottr's playstyle. Keep in mind, this is light also, which is like your job is to get eliminations that will help with the objective. We'll see later in the list. for every class. A smoke grenade, you can just sidestep a smoke grenade, and it's like, it's a double-edged sword because you smoke somebody off, and you can't see them and they can see you. Overall, it's not that good unless you want to rotate in the open, but there's other ways to counter that, or to do that. So I'll put it in D as well. Frag grenade, I feel like it is definitely a solid grenade. Additional damage, it can open up a fight really well. If enemies are clumped up, you can get a lot of opening damage. I'm gonna have to put the frag grenade in probably like slightly worse than pyro, I would say, because pyro adds a little bit of like, it has more versatility, but still useful for that additional instant 149, I believe, damage, upwards of that. So I'll put it in the B tier. Glitch grenade, extremely good, probably S tier. Yeah, I'll put it in the S tier. It is just, you can break shields. Yes, it's just for 5 seconds, but that's enough to secure a kill. You can break shields and deny enemies' abilities. Extremely good. If there's a lot of stuff on the point, you can throw a glitch grenade on the point and it will disable it, and then you can steal it very easily. Definitely gonna put that one in S tier. Could be A tier as well, but it really depends. You're gonna be forced to choose between, like, you're gonna have to pick one of these away usually, which makes sense with the whole cloak and dash dynamic. So if you're playing cloak, you just cut the vanishing bomb. You want to run these 3 probably. If you're playing vanishing bomb, sorry, if you're playing a dash, then you usually would want to cut either the stun gun or the glitch grenade, depending on whether you want to be close to your enemies or far away. So it really comes down to like how you want to play. But these are all very valid, you just kind of tailor it towards your own playstyle. Gas grenade, also good for holding enemies off point, however, super easy to counter it with fire. Pyro, I feel like it's almost better for zoning people, honestly. So I'll put the gas grenade in maybe B. Yeah, it fits there. Flashbang, I know people will say it's good. It was good with the wall hack changes, but they fixed the wall hack, so we're gonna put that one in. They're gonna hate me for this, we're gonna put it in F for flashbang. I've never liked flashbang. Does not belong. That's my list for lights. Any thoughts? We can talk about it, then we'll move on. Flashbang is for knowing your teammates. Just like with smoke, flashbang is like, you have a lot of friendly... It will impact your teammates as much as it will impact you. So starting off with medium, we of course have the specializations. I'm aware TA doesn't have healing beam, but again, we don't care too much about TA because it's a joke of a game mode. We have... So starting off, of course, heal beam, S tier. Like, if there was a S plus tier, you would put heal beam in S plus tier. This is probably the best. I would argue this is the best specialization in the game, period. You can heal your teammates. No, there's no other way to do it. You cannot heal your teammates in any other way. Therefore, it's S tier. Turret, I would probably... It's annoying sometimes, very easy to counter, unless there's like 3 of them maybe, but I'll put it like a B, maybe even C tier, not a big fan of it. Turret is gonna be B tier, and then the dematerializer, that's because it's just easy to outplay it against good players. It doesn't do much, and it just doesn't provide as much other abilities or specializations for medium. And I'm gonna put the dematerializer in A tier because it does give you versatility. It does give you ways to outplay enemies. You can even steal cash outs, lock behind it, you can escape and whatever. You just can move around the map very fast with dematerializer, especially as a movement medium. It is better than turret. It is not better than healing beam, so it goes into A tier. Not super good, I'd say, in ranked or comp, but very good in like a quick casual setting. Like if you don't care too much about your teammates, just do dematerializer and jump around with it. So move those. With that in mind, we're gonna do the gadgets. Zipline. So we're gonna get to zipline jump pad. I'm not sure where I stand on that because I'm really torn on it. A lot of people disagree with me, so I might have to revisit where I sit on the zipline versus jump pad. Zipline is definitely, I'd say, S tier. You can travel for up to 40 meters any direction you want. Sure, it's predictable, but you can move any direction that you want. And upwards, downwards, and even stretch on the moving platforms. It's just a great tool for rotating when nobody's shooting you. You can quickly take high ground if nobody's looking, and there's more outplays you can pull off of it. So definitely, I would say both medium movement abilities are super strong, but usually you have to choose one or the other. Personally, I normally choose the jump pad, but zipline is just as good, if not better, according to many people. As for the explosive mine for medium, you can combine 2 explosive mines, do 280 damage. Personally, I'm not a fan of mines. They are cheesy, and once people expect them, the use for them decrease dramatically. Therefore, explosive mine, I'll put in like B tier. We might have to bump it down later. You can use it as a temporary breach charge. You can like one-shot meters and lights, but overall, it's just cheesy. Data reshaper. Tons of ways you can use it. You can remove barricades. You can remove a bunch of mines on the point, and they recently fixed the reshaper where it now you can shoot. You have 2 charges this season. So it's more useful both in TA and in cash out or quick cash, and recently got a longer range. But overall, I'm not a big fan of it because I still believe in most cases you can just deal with it on your own. You can also reshape barrels after whatever you feel like doing. Like if you want to do you don't want a gas barrel, whatever, you can change it. You can reshape incoming projectiles. You can reshape barrels that are primed, which will deprime them. Yeah, it's great in theory, but overall, I never use it whatsoever. So with all those things in mind, it sounds great, but putting it in C tier. We might shuffle these around a little bit later. Gas mine is like explosive mine or gas grenade, but way worse. D tier. I don't see the point of gas mine whatsoever. Just hold the point yourself instead of having a gas mine. I don't really understand why it exists. Maybe a skill issue. Don't see it. Like you can just gas grenade. They do the exact same thing. It only works, I guess, if you want to put the mines on point and walk away from it. Jump pad, as I said, it's movement. Movement's super good. You want a movement in almost every single comp. That's why you want the medium, that and the healing. Therefore, the jump pad would be S tier. You can, again, just swap between jump pad or zipline, and depending, you might run both. Pyro grenade, I don't remember where we put it on light. We put it on A for light. Is it A for medium? I'd probably put it in B. It could go lower. I just think that compared to the other stuff in this list, it's less useful for what it does for zoning. And yeah, it's about the same level as explosive mine probably. Goo grenade, however, I'd say is higher on medium than it is on light, because medium is all about providing space in a certain way, and goo helps provide that utility and space. It's especially useful if you're running right shield or katanas. We've covered them in a previous tier list, which is, you should check out if you haven't already on this channel. But overall, I'd say, so you shouldn't be using the katanas or the right shield, but if you do, it's basically a must-have so you can keep enemies in place. I'll probably put the goo grenade in B. Yeah, B feels nice. B feels nice. It was a D for light, but for medium, I'll put it in B. You can set up on a point, you can goo up, you could place mines if that's what you're gonna do, turn up if that's what you're gonna do. It just makes sense with medium to have a goo grenade to help you with that specific playstyle. Defib S tier. You can revive your teammates. Need I say more? I feel like you can revive your teammates. You can revive your teammates. Insanely good. Gas grenade is very good. Better than explosive mine and pyro mine and goo grenade, in my opinion. It's a good zoning tool. Yes, you can fire it away, but it's a good zoning tool, and it goes hand in hand with how medium wants to play. So I'll put that one in A tier. Maybe A is too high. We'll reshuffle later if needed. Flashbang is F. You can run it with riot shield or katanas, but it's just flashbang. F for flashbang. L plus ratio. Frag grenade can be solid. Not my favorite pick, but if I run like a model, I actually love pairing it with the frag grenade because you get damage over range and you can soften the enemy up a little bit. You can even put it preemptively when they're gonna be coming from, so you can get a little bit of opening damage. There's a 140/2 that somebody in chat mentioned. I'll put it in, overall though, I'll probably put it in, I find myself running it more than the other ones. I'll put it in A tier. It might actually be overvalued if anything, but I will put it in the A tier. Glitch trap has been reworked. I think the glitch trap might be slept on. It might be too early to say. I haven't ran it much myself, but I also haven't played in like any super serious lobbies. I think in theory, if a double heavy team jumps at you, I feel like the glitch trap might be really good because it disables any enemy's abilities within its line of sight, within its range, until it is destroyed or disabled in other ways. Very strong. Very underrated, and it's really awkward as a player to find it and destroy it. And I honestly, it's better than the glitch grenade in certain ways. You just have to use it preemptively rather than reactively. I don't think I'll put it in the S tier, but definitely A tier, maybe upper A tier. We'll see where it lands at the end of the day. The APS turret is also a preemptive tool. You can use it reactively, but in most cases, you use APS preemptively, it will eat grenades. Yes, it will only eat free projectiles. Free projectiles is still you use one cooldown and they have to use 3 cooldowns to take yours out. Still very valuable, and it even eats projectiles for walls, so it's still very good. Not as good as any of these in my opinion. These are usually the default medium loadout, but you would swap from one of, like, if you jump out of zipline and pick up an APS in a more serious lobby to deal with like RPGs and whatnot, and grenades and whatever. So that one also goes into the A tier. Maybe upper A tier if there was such a thing. Maybe we'd have to like bump everything down a little bit, and these two would be A tier. Maybe we can do that actually. Hold on, let me see, let me cook. I would probably, that looks better. That looks a lot better. Glitch trap and APS turret are way above gas grenade and frag. And explosive, yeah, this feels good, I think. Somebody will disagree because I bumped their babies down a little bit, but Gas mine is just useless when gas grenade is in the game. Okay, I like this list now. This looks a lot better. It felt wrong before, but this one feels more or less the right way. The problem, like, I think with tier lists as well is at the end of the day, like, the only thing that really matters is S and A tier. If you play like me and you just want to like optimize the way you play, anything underneath is kind of like, they have the niche uses. You can run it with some loadouts, but in most cases, it doesn't, like, anything under S and A, you don't need it. Moving on, we have Heavy, as usual. So Heavy is interesting because they have 4 specializations this season, which was interesting. Nobody really expected that, but that tells us a lot about how they're gonna balance specializations in the future. I'd say that, okay, Goo Gun. This one is gonna make people very angry, chat. Mesh Shield is gonna have to be S tier. We saw it in Rivals, right? It's a shield. It's 750 health for you and your teammates. Stops almost every ability, very strong. Winch was nerfed, so you don't have as many one-shot abilities anymore, but it's incredibly good for solo queue, and it does counter Mesh Shield to a certain extent because it goes through shields. It can yoink anyone with shield. I just think that because, like, you have to take Twitch Rivals with a grain of salt at the end of the day. I know we saw it a lot, and I just used that as a reasoning for Mesh Shield. But you have to remember that the people in Twitch Rivals, 7 out of 8 squads barely play the game at all, and 7 out of 8, and then the one squad that did play the game a lot barely touched Season 3 themselves, and as I understand it, they're not even playing more the finals afterwards anyways. They're just playing for that one tournament, so they use Season 2 meta. I feel like Winch Claw can be really good to open up fights, in theory, if you play 2 teams with heavies. If you have 2 teams with heavies, and then you have an off tank. There's no point in having double Mesh Shield. You can have the off tank playing, let's say, a Winch Claw. This was previously the Charge and Slam, and they can just yoink the medium from the enemy team, just pull them in, get a free kill, and win the fight. Or even pull in a heavy because they're still gonna be stun locked to become an easy kill. In theory, it is extremely strong and used in the right hands. You can also pull the cash out away with it. You can steal statues with it. You can steal the cash box with it. I'll take carryables and whatnot. So definitely I would say Winch Claw's A tier. Charge and Slam, super good, can deal a lot of damage to enemies. I'm also gonna put that in A tier. I feel like it's up in the air which one you would want to run, depends on your playstyle. If you're running, like, let's say the M60, which doesn't seem super good this season, or the Louis gun, like an LMG, you might want to run the Charge instead of Winch Claw, because pulling an enemy in and letting them melee you or shotgun you doesn't really make sense. So then Charge can be better. HHM is broken with Winch Claw. Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to run at Rivals, but we didn't really get a chance to do it. That's definitely would be my comp in Rivals. Shield heavy, Winch Claw, and then like shotguns or whatever, and then a medium healing. That would be ideal for me. But anyways, moving on, we have one more, that's Goo Gun. Goo Gun is fun. It's trolly. It's annoying when playing against it, especially if you get stun locked by it, but overall, not the most. I'll put the Goo Gun in the B tier because the Goo Gun is still good when used preemptively, but overall, it's not super valuable because at the end of the day, you can't use it reactively. The other tools in Heavy's kit allows you to protect your team and or deal damage to the enemy team in a much more viable way that the Goo Gun ever will. There are outplays and fun trolly things you can do with the Goo Gun. You can stun lock people with the Goo Gun, but overall it doesn't serve much of a use rather than being annoying, in my opinion, and like just stalling out fights and making them really like confusing. And with that in mind, I will put the Goo Gun in B tier. It can make APS turrets fast, but that's too niche of a use to make it viable overall. This is my list for the specializations. Let's go talk about gadgets for Heavy as well, with these specializations in mind. So as for anti-grav cube, not the biggest fan of the anti-grav cube. I know it has some uses, but overall I feel like it just makes everything really weird. It's good to troll with it, but overall it just doesn't do much. In my opinion, it is probably like a B tier. Might move this around later on. That's where I'm seeing it right now. Motion sensor was buffed this season. It now will scan enemies permanently as long as they're in the range of your motion sensor. They'll be visible through walls like if they were sonared. Pretty valuable overall, definitely, but it's still like they can just destroy very easily. It's definitely less useful than the sonar grenade, I feel like. I don't remember where we put the sonar grenade. I'm gonna take a quick look here. We put the sonar grenade on B. I'll probably put it in like C in my opinion. Might be underrated here, but we'll get to it. Explosive mine for Heavy. With all the different explosives and destructive abilities Heavy has, explosive mine doesn't fit in their kit. You could set it up to like flank enemies and have it waiting in doorways and whatever and try to get easy kills, but overall doesn't really make sense to put it like D tier. Pyromine F tier, it's just F tier. Mines are not good in this game whatsoever, and a Pyromine just sets people on fire. It's just useless. It is just useless. Pyro Grenade, again, it is solid. We place it higher for the other classes, but for heavy, because of how good the rest of the kit is, I feel like it's gotta get bumped down. I'm gonna put it probably, I'm gonna just wing it and put it in the C tier. Could probably get bumped up to B once we have the whole thing set. That's because, again, it can set people on fire and space a little bit at the end of the day, but overall it just doesn't fit Heavy's kit that much. I don't really see any, other than I guess with Goo Gun, I don't really see any, what's the word I'm looking for, like combinations you can pull off with the Pyro Grenade. Goo Grenade, I feel like it's gonna put in C as well. It's solid, not the best. Synergy, yes, that's the word. It's solid, but not the best. You can combine it, let's say, with like a Sledgehammer or some other abilities. But I mean, you even have the Goo Gun. If you want the Goo, you can run the Goo Gun. But if you want the Goo and you don't want to run the Goo Gun, you can run the Goo Grenade to make up for that. If you want to place cover, however, you have the Barricade. You don't really need a Goo Grenade to do that. So put it in C tier. We get to it. Gas Grenade, same thing, not super good. I'll put it in B because I believe it's slightly better than Pyro, even though I wouldn't run it on Heavy necessarily. But overall, it's not really. We're going to explain how it works. We're going to explain how these abilities work, so I feel like they're useless right now to like dive into why at the moment, but we will get to it. Frag Grenade on Heavy, again, doesn't make sense. You have the RPG, which is easier. It's instant damage. I'd probably put that one in, probably in B tier. Flashbang F tier. I'm not even wasting a breath on that. Dome S tier. Inside 350 health for you and your teammates. You can peek with it. You can tank with it. You can do so many things with a Dome Shield that helps you and your teammates and screws over the enemy like crazy. It's a must-have basically for any heavy loadout, no matter what you do. It works with anything in their kit really well. C4 is, you said it's worse than mine. I feel like it might be slightly better than mine. I would still probably never use the C4 unless I want to blow a point down. Probably gonna put that one in a C tier. I think it's slightly better than the explosive mine because you can still deal damage and remotely set it up over distance. Again, people normally don't fall for traps, or it's like a cheese kill. It's not reliable. I don't think having cheese equipment will help. Moving on, RPG S tier. It's 140 instant damage against anyone, AoE damage, damage over any range. It has destructive abilities, extremely good. We ran it in Rivals even, and we won a lot of fights because of good RPGs. It's just a good opener, or closer, or just like pulling damage out of nowhere. I don't feel like this gap is big enough. Right now we have S tier and then A tier is completely empty. I feel like there should have been like maybe an additional tier in between here just to signify how much better these are than the rest of Heavy's kit. It's insane. Okay, let's move C4 up to B tier. You're right. And then finally Barricade. For Heavy, we're gonna put Barricade in S tier because it's instant cover. It has a lot of health. You can use it to climb. You can use it to just, again, get cover. It's faster than the Goo Grenade. It's stronger than the Goo Grenade, albeit smaller. It's a bit awkward to set up at times, but I don't think that should change the fact that it is very strong. It can even block entrances completely, doorways completely, windows completely, and stop an enemy from coming in. It really just lets you create so much space out of nowhere, a permanent space out of nowhere, whereas a Dome Shield isn't really permanent. It's just 350 health, very easy to destroy. So yeah, I think this is probably, I'm looking at it again, just trying to see if there's anything that would change, but personally I think this is where I would put Heavy's kit. I don't know if there's anyone in chat who disagrees. We could maybe put the anti-grav in A, but I feel like it's more of a cheese strat more so than a reliable, viable strat, and it only, like, the gravity cube has room for outplays, but in most cases you only want to use the gravity cube if you are on the, is it if you're in the low ground? Yeah, if you're in the low ground, I believe. It's just like, I have a hard time visualizing like a reliable way to use the anti-gravity cube, and I just never felt that it was worth not using these. Again, S tier for Heavy is like S plus tier. There's a whole empty tier in my opinion that is just completely empty. That's the A tier. You don't need anything else on Heavy. These are all insanely good, especially when combined with Shield or Winch or Charge and Slam, and with any of the meta weapons. And speaking of meta weapons, if you want to know the best and worst weapons for the finals in Season 3, check out the video on the screen. It's gonna be here somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where, but do click it, check it out. Let me know what you think. If you guys disagree with any of my placements, make sure to hit the like or the dislike if you don't agree, and let me know in the comments what you disagree with. That was it for me. These were all the tiers. Hope you enjoyed the video. We're gonna make more in the future, so I hope you are subscribed. But yeah, Bye bye.